Hi guys, how are ya? Today we're going to be doing up on the wall in the background. You may see the moonlight on the lake. We're going to transform our space and time, and we're going into summer where it's going to be nice and warm and beautiful on that lake. All right, so first we're going to go ahead and get started with our palette. Now I have white, yellow, green, blue, red, and black. If you do not have red, you don't have to use it. It's just there for an extra color option. All right, and the other thing I'm going to need is probably a cup. So I'm just using a disposable cup. If you want a bigger moon, you could go bigger. If you want a smaller one. Or if you don't have any just plastic cups laying around, you could also use a regular cup from your dishes, and you can go ahead and clean it off afterwards. All right, so the very first thing that we are going to go ahead and we're going to do is we're going to do our background for our sky. We need to go ahead, find a brush that we feel comfortable with. This is a rounded flat brush, one that has a little bit of arc to it. Whatever brush you feel comfy. These are super big. I actually love using these. They have a really, they're nice and stiff and they hold the paint very well. All right, so what we're going to do, take your brush. You're going to have your cup of water and have your paper towel handy. Just give a little tap off. And we want it to be lighter where the horizon meets and darker as we start going on up. So how we get this really kind of cool color is we're going to go in with white, blue. You're going to see it goes pretty light. I'm going to go ahead and find out where I'm going to have my water, and this will be the sky. Now, I'm going to go right on in. Now, I like to take whatever is left on my brush and giving it a little pull. I'm going to keep on pushing it right around. This one's done almost on a dry brush stance. Now, you could also wet the entire canvas and then pat it on down to have it kind of move around. Now, right in that center, all I'm going to do, grab more of my white, a little touch of my yellow, and you don't need a whole lot. You're going to get this almost greeny kind of color. And we're just going to go ahead and move it on in. Now, if it goes too yellow for you, all you need to do is grab just a little bit more of your white and bring it right on in. Now, if you've got too much paint on your brush at any time, go ahead, clean it off. You can even dance in your water. Just moving around what I've got on my paintbrush. You should actually hear that whoosh. Just moving around. Almost like you're conserving the paint. That's just how you're getting a soft blend. So see that little white spot, how it kind of pops in color? If you want a little bit whiter, go in with a little bit more of your white. Go right back in, repeat. Just moving it around. And the beauty, the acrylic is so forgiving. So say you do something, you're like, I need it darker here. I need it to be lighter here. You can always go back in and lighten or darken. The one color we always say, just be careful, black. Black's really hard to take away. So as I'm going up, it's going to be nighttime. And we're going to go blue. You could do a touch of your black. You could also do blue and your red. I'm going to go right from the top first. So it's going to be nice on the darker side. If it goes too dark, wipe off the brush. Go back into your blue and bring it right on in. And same thing, we're just moving around a little bit of paint. And see how these two are touching now? You can just kind of blend them right on in. I'm going to grab a little bit more of my blue. Bring it right on down. Now, if for some reason, say you're right next to a wood stove or something really, really warm, because it is so cold outside, if they don't seem to be meeting up, if they're just too dry meeting up, just get your brushes a little wet, dip into your water, tap it off onto your paper towel. You want to give a good little tap off. And you're gonna notice it will move around the paint and let them join a little bit easier. You may also go back into your lights and move your light color on up. So just going back and forth. So if you've ever watched the famous Bob Ross, sometimes he would just keep on going. You're like, ah, stop, don't do that, don't go any further. That's just, don't worry about it, go for it. Okay, and when you kind of feel like you're kind of happy with your situation, you can always take a picture throughout. So you can always stop the recording. So say if you feel like you need to work on it a little bit longer, or you feel like I'm going very fast, pause it. Just grabbing a little bit more of my white right in here. You can even bring it right up towards your blues, just like a little wispy clouds. All right, so if you feel like you're happy, keep it. You can always go back and play with it. I'm actually going to grab a little bit more of my black. I'm going to bring a little bit more nighttime. So if you crisscross too, back, forth, almost like a little X, it gives you a really pretty little, gives you lots of texture, gives you a pretty little feel. All right, so don't fret. If you feel like you made a mistake, just wait till it dries, come back to it. That is probably the awesome part about being home right now. Yeah, we have time on our hands. We have time to be leisure, time to spend with our family, time to start being creative or looking at projects you couldn't get done. Okay, so what we're going to do down below, this is going to be the water. I'm going to make sure that I don't have, see, I have even a little mark, and you won't be able to see that mark once it's all done. So we're going to put our moon over on this side, but there's something like magical happening over here. And that's why we want it just to be a little bit brighter. So I'm going to go in with my white, my yellow. And this actually, what it was a boo-boo, was a mistake that made the whole entire painting what it is. So I had the moon over just a little bit more in my original sketches. And then I was like, something happened and this got brighter. And when it got brighter, we decided that there was something magical happening in that sky causing a little reflection. So all I'm going to do is take my white and my yellow. I'm going to go right on in. Now it's okay if you have a little bit of that blue hanging out. You want to go a little bit bigger. Just take the skinny part of my flat brush and back and forth. So this white and my yellow. And I always like to go just a little bit bigger because you want these colors to be happy together. As you can see, it is much bigger than what the original will be. Okay, so while this is doing its thing, we're going to clean off the brush. This is a great time that if you want it to dry up, go ahead and let it dry up. Go grab yourself another glass of wine or whatever you're drinking, or grab a snack and come on back. Okay, so we have lots of time in between. Just relax, go at your own pace. So our next colors will be our blues. So for your blues, if you add a little bit of your red to it, you're going to find that it gives you a deeper blue. If you add a little bit of your black to it, you're going to find it gives you a deeper blue also, almost like a purple blue. Just making sure how we're doing on time. Okay, so what I'm going to do, take the same brush. I'm going to go in with my blue. Now you could do green also. I'll show you the difference. This is blue and red, if you've got red, and it gives you a nice dark without going into your black. Now I'm going to stay away from my yellows right now because I want that to kind of dry up. I'm going to just show you the different colors. So it's blue with a touch of my red. Now I'm going to clean off the brush. This is blue with a touch of my black. And a little black goes a long ways. You do not need to have a whole ton of black to make this happen. All right. And then I'm going to show you green with your blue. It also makes it a little bit darker, turns it into a little bit more of an oceany kind of feel, believe it or not. And you can always add just a touch of your black to that. So you see the difference? This is purple, red with your blue. This is going to be green with your blue. And this is black with your blue. Now I did do most of it with my black and blue, but this gives you an option if you would like. If you're going to be using anything other than the black and blue, go ahead and just let it dry up, let this part. And it's winter, so it's drying up super fast. Want to give the North Country people a heads up. We're going to get a little snow tomorrow. Not that most of us will be traveling, but in case you have to. So blue and black. Okay, so all I'm going to do, just bring that right on in. I'm going to start from all of the outsides and pulling that on in. I can use just the broad side of the brush too. Just pulling on in. Now come right on over. I'm going to do the same exact thing. All right. So see that I'm not touching right now. For when I need to touch, I'm going to take the brush, the skinny part, just like that. Now your brush is probably a little bit smaller, and that's fine. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just dragging in, nothing new. What I have left, just giving a little drag in. Okay, going to come right on over and do the same thing. We're just going to slowly pull this guy on in. You could also use the broad for a little bit longer if you wish. When we get to the skinny part, when you want to start to let them blend together, just going to give these guys a little pull. Okay, so now I get to take the skinny part of the brush and just give me a very gentle little pull coming on in. You could also go broadside of the way also, and just giving it a little pull. Now, if we start losing some of this, it's all right. We could go back over. We're going to make it a little bit brighter anyways. So we're just kind of very gently, just giving a little pull coming on in. See how I'm blending out? Mine's still a little wet. That is okay. If that happens to you, not a big deal. And I like to make this not perfect. So you don't want just one beam of light coming in. You want to break it up. So I'll have this part probably coming in a little bit further. And this part coming in a little bit further. Just breaking it up ever. And of course, when you get closest to you, it's going to be the skinniest. It's going to be the smallest. And that gives you perspective. This makes it look like it's a long distance of something magical maybe happening out into the sky. I actually had one of the people painting, if you did this one, they put a UFO out there. It's kind of funny. If you know me, I do not like that. I definitely laughed about it. All right, so you can see I definitely made it much skinnier than what it was. That's exactly what I want for right now. What we need to do now is we're going to go right on up and we're going to build out where our little trees are going to be. Now, I will use a fan brush. I know I don't use them often. This one's a perfect fan brush quality because it's a small little gathering of trees off in the distance on a cliff. So what I'm going to need, you could go down to size smaller brush. You could use the same size brush. We're going to go black and green. Now, if you do not have green, if you have just blue and yellow, that also makes green, and you can add it with your black. I'm going to go right on in. And I'm just going to go ahead and make a little hill. Now, some people liked that little mountain kind of feel in the background. So if you want to keep that mountain kind of feel, keep it. Some people really loved it. Now I like to have the feeling maybe like there is some land out here. And all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go on up. Now you could do with this brush, the skinny part of the brush, I like the flat brushes. They do a lot of really awesome things. You just give me a little tap. Now I have a tendency to go to that big brush often. I don't know, working with small just does not work for me. You can just give it a little tap out if you do not have a fan brush. You don't have to go super big. If you make your mountain a little bit higher, your little area a little bit higher, you don't have to go quite as far over. You can kind of keep it on the low. Now I'm going to show you with the fan brush. Now there's two different ways to the fan brush. This is the happy face. This one goes this way. This is the sad face. It does not matter which way you use your brush. I have a tendency to like the sad face. I like how it kind of just pulls on down. Some people like the happy face way, where it kind of pulls on up. All I'm going to do, take that brush, I give just a couple little taps back here, straight up and down. And I'm going to go ahead and find out where my biggest one will be. And remember, this is nighttime, so you do want it to be just a little bit darker than just your green, even though there's some light going to be emitted. Then I'm just going to take the brush, giving just a little gentle tap in the corner, and then I'm working my way on down. Tap, 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 tap. All the way down. Now, your tree is not finished. I'm going to go right back through and give it a little tap. Now, sometimes for the fan brushes, these little ones in the top are really tricky to get it really nice and low. This is when this brush works really well. So I'll show you one more time. So we're just going to go on up. Give a little tap. Now I can use the whole brush. Now this is the one with just a flat brush. This is like a medium-sized flat brush. They all have their qualities. This one, if you have a hard time getting that top area. And the awesome part is keep on going right on over. Tap it right on out. Acrylic is super forgiving. And so you can kind of see the difference between two brushes. And at my parties, a lot of times I will use just a regular flat brush. This one's like a smaller area. If you're using a smaller, canvas size, you're just going to use a smaller brush. And I just went a little bit back in with a little bit more green so it can kind of match these guys out. Now you can go just on through to these little guys. Just give them a couple little taps. Okay, and then you have to make this a little gruff. It's still on the dark side, so with your greens and your black, you want to just go ahead and give a little bit of your shrubbery. Maybe there's a little bit of growth over there. Nobody lives over there. I'm just going to tap it on out. Now, what you also need is a reflection, because you can't quite keep it just flat like that. You have some kind of reflection, even though it's at nighttime. You can take the same brush, just give a little wipe down, take the skinny part of the brush, and you're just taking excess paint that you already have on your brush and giving a little pull. Now, if you really want them to separate, and say you went a little thick with down here, if you go back in, go ahead, clean off the brush, just wipe around down, grab a little bit of my white, and go right in the background. And you could always, if you go too bright, hit it right back up. Just gives you a little bit of a shoreline. Okay, so you can kind of see reflection. This always reminds me a little bit of maybe Lake Champlain on the Vermont side. Okay, and mess it up as much as you would like. Now, if you have any of the ugly brushes, I love a good ugly brush. Any of these will do. This is my favorite. If you've ever been to my parties, the uglier it is, the better it works. This one looks like it's about ready for the garbage, but I love it. These right here are just from the dollar store. You can get them at the Family Dollar. And you may even have them hang around in the garage. These are the cheap ones. Just super cheap. Nothing expensive. All right, so anytime you need to go back and touch up. Now, I love to go ahead and take a picture as I'm going, because sometimes it really just messes with your mind. If you don't, you can't critique it. Now, I'm gonna feel this on out, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna let it just dry just for another minute. So we'll go ahead, we'll work on our background for our moon. Now, our moon is a crescent moon. If you would like to have a full moon, you like to keep that full moon feel, by all means, just do whatever you feel you're comfortable with. Crescent moons are a little bit harder, but I'm going to show you how to do it with one of these. Now, this would be considered a big moon, and that's pretty much what is on the original. This is a little bit smaller of a moon. So I show you with a big one. And all I'm going to do, I'm going to take my white. I want to go right around the whole thing. I'm not going to worry about what looks like a crescent on here. Around the whole entire thing. And then we're going to find out where it needs to go, and we're going to pretend it's like a stamp. Okay? Do not squish your cup, because what happens when you squish your cup, it changes the shape. And then I just need to find the brush I feel comfy with. Let me go down the sides just a little. Now this is just a little bit of a medium size. And I'm gonna find out where, so you can kind of see where the line is. So all I'm gonna do, come on up. Now my crescent is coming this way. Yours can go this way. Whichever way you wish. I just changed it up because it's just a little different. Okay, so this is like a backward C. If you are more of somebody who needs symmetry, you're going to do better with one that looks like a C than one that goes this way. And then all I'm going to do, about halfway, a little bit further, coming back around, filling on in. Now, there are definitely different stages of your crescent and your silver moons, your sliver moons. So go right back through if you want to make it thicker. It's just your white. And you may have to just kind of let it dry and then hit it back up if you want it to be a little bit brighter. Okay, so you can kind of see I have a little bit left over here. All I'm going to do, clean off my brush, use the brush you used for your sky. We're going to go blue with a touch of my white. Just give a little tap off. You don't need a whole lot. Go right back over and bring it right on out. So what this will do also, it will highlight and it'll give you just a little bit of brightness right next to your moon. I'll change. If your brush is really wet, you're going to get these little drips like I have. As soon as you see a drip, just go ahead and give it a little wipe down. What it does, a drip will start pulling away from your canvas. It will pull away from the color. And sometimes you want that and sometimes you don't. Just going to hit it right around my moon. This one just holding on to the water. Okay, so this is just, we're just kind of blending on out. Now we get to go back into our water. I'm going to go ahead and clean off the brush, make sure it's super clean. This was my drippy brush, so I'm going to make sure that there's no drips going on. If you just kind of give it a little shake, you can usually feel if there's any water. Sometimes it gets caught up in between the underside of the brushes, or even into where the metal part is. Okay, so I want it to be, I'm gonna go a little bit brighter. I'm gonna grab a little bit more of a yellow. I'm just taking the skinny part of this flat brush. I'm gonna go ahead and give a couple of pulls. And I hope you guys are listening to some music, since I usually have some of the best tunage going on. And that is not the case right now. Facebook is kind of weird when it comes to that. And I'm going to just go ahead and give a little pull coming on out. I'm going to switch out actually my brushes because this one just seems to be holding on to too much water. And I've got more of them. You may not have that luxury to have excess brushes. And as you can see, this is only when I start painting and I do multiple at a time. I have probably about 5 of these buckets hanging out. I'm going to go out a little bit further, just dragging. And you get that really kind of, I love the way the yellow with that blue and black, they kind of pop in your color. Do you see that? Probably not. Now I can go ahead and clean off the brush, wipe her on down, and we're going to go white and blue. You don't need very much white, and we're just going to go ahead and take the skinny part of the brush once again and give me a little pull. Now I'm going to also show you with the ugly brush. And it's okay to go over some of the areas. So see how I grabbed some of that yellow I just put down? That's perfectly fine. This is kind of what you want. You want your colors to not be all the same. You want that pull for like, it's not quite waves, but it shows that it's definitely water. There's some movement going on. Maybe there's some fish underneath there. I look forward to those days of watching the loons on a lake. Okay, so you can see the difference from here to here. One has a little bit more depth now, and this one's still a little on the flat side, but I'm going to show you also with one of the ugly brushes. So if you have one of these ugly brushes, and as you can see, it's pretty ugly. This one's been used before. Same colors. Skinny part of the brush. And just pulling on it. So it really is all up to your feel on your brush, which one you like the best. And I'll go back into this guy. I'm just going to go ahead and give a couple of pulls. I want to pull it in towards my yellows. Let me move this right here. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and hit it right back up just a little bit heavier wherever I need it. Now, as this starts, take a picture as it starts to kind of develop. Right now we have super calm waters, and you may keep it at the calm level. But the next part, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to show you guys how to make a little bit of waves. Maybe there's a little ripple. Maybe it really is a UFO in their distance. Totally awesome. When they showed me it, I couldn't help but laugh. Go ahead, I'm going to make my land just a little bit longer. Okay, I'm just going to check on your time. All right. And you could also, for your land, if you feel like your land still feels kind of abrupt, you want it to be kind of swooping on in there, you could just take your brush and just give it a little pull. This is going to be a little black because I have a little bit more of my white. And this actually kind of gives you a feel, maybe it's a little bit closer than what the other one was. You always go back in with your white afterwards. Okay, so always play with it. This is, like I said, it's super forgiving. This is your own painting. If you need to, like, if you have a really big boo-boo area that you need to fix, you could always, after it dries, take a little white, let that dry up, and then go right back over it. Now, I did have people ask me, because of supplies, what they could do if they have, say, a canvas that got ruined, or a canvas that they didn't like anymore. You could take, technically, you could take white acrylic, the Craftsmart acrylic, or just a craft acrylic, and do the entire coat. You could do a couple coats on it. You could also take primer, like a regular household primer or white paint. Really anything just to salvage our mentality right now. Okay, so it's more than likely we won't be selling these on eBay right now, but it's going to be more for how you feel when you do it. All right, so our next part, I'm going to show you again with a fan brush. If you only have one fan brush and how to use it, clean it off really good. Put it underneath the water, scrub it out, and then what I would like you to do is just kind of scrub it out onto a paper towel and let it dry. Because this will get all clumpy and it'll separate in really weird ways when it's super wet. So you just kind of, you can even take a blow dryer and give it a quick little blow dry. Just kind of fluff it back out. Okay, so what we're going to do, if you love it nice and calm, now all you're going to do for the next step is taking that white and doing the same thing, but you want to go over that yellows. You want these guys to blend together. Okay, so it's like they're intertwining and they're blending. They're going to be nice and calm. Now, if you like to have a little bit of a little storm kind of brewing on in, I go in with my white. Now, anytime that your white is just too much for you, go in with a little bit of your blue. I'm just going to go ahead, tap and pull, tap and pull. Now, for this, I'm going to kind of stay away from my yellows as much. So see, I'm just going to like give a little zigzag. You don't have to have straight lines. A lot of times people feel like they have to have a straight line, but if you ever watch the way, if you're ever on the ferry and watch the way the water kind of, it looks like snakes. They kind of just kind of build up around. If my mom's watching this, I'm sorry I used the bad word. Okay. Now if you want it to be even more ripply, all you're doing is you're just taking, you're just going to go ahead, give it a little tap. And remember, I'm not going to go around my white, my yellows too much right now. I'm working on the outsides. And way off in the distance, you're just going to see just a little bit of your white caps. Not a whole lot. As they get closer to you, they definitely get a little bit more agitated. Remember, no straight lines. If you are somebody that has to have everything perfect, I understand. It's natural for you to want everything to be very linear and to be very line driven, and you would see a lot more of these. It's okay to have a couple little areas. If they're too much of a line, just give it a little tap over. Okay, so try not to think too linear. You want it to break up, so do one side first, do the next. And then I'm going to go right back in. I'm just going to go over my yellow. Just the same way. Give it a little tap. Almost like a little zigzag as you're kind of making your way on down. Now, another way to give it a little bit more depth is underneath here. I'm going to go ahead, clean off my brush, and I'm not even going to go ahead, I'm not going to wash it. I'm just going to go ahead, give it a little scrub down on my paper towel, the clean part. And you can see, if it gets too wet, this is what's going to happen. All I want you to do, I know I'm using my fingers, just want you to fluff it out. Okay, you can even clean it off and fluff it out. We just need to go a little bit darker underneath our white caps. It looks really good right now. But if you add blue, you can do purple, so you can blue and red. I like the blue and black. I'm just going to go ahead and give a couple of taps. So that's a little dark. I'm just going to tap it off, go in with a little bit more of my blue. Just giving it a little drag. Now these aren't, you know how these kind of have more of a little white cap kind of feel? This is just more of a little shadow. I'm just dragging right underneath. I don't have to do the whole entire area. Our brain does that for us. In the yellow part, just hitting up ever so often. Don't need a whole lot of them. Then go right on over and do the next side. So this is just so that it does give you a little bit more of depth. It gives you that rolling kind of feel, like maybe they're rolling on over. You could go through and just give a couple little pulls of your dark. So say you have a really big light area. Just give a couple of pulls if you're dark. Okay, and so say now it looks too linear for you. It does not look like it's flowing well. I'm going to go ahead and clean up my brush. I want to go ahead, I'm going to use the same one. I'm going to go ahead, wipe it on down, and fluff it on out. You can use your finger, you can use a blow dryer. I know, usually my hands look like this after. Taking that brush, make sure it's clean. I go back into my white and just give a couple little taps like it's kind of folding on over. So our white caps are just kind of folding on over. And white caps are not uniformed per se. They definitely have a mind of its own. Lately the lake's been very rough. I know a couple people had some really scary rides on coming home from Vermont. If you're watching from somewhere else, we live in the North Country, almost in Canada, and almost in Vermont. And if you're from around here, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm just gonna go in, give it a little tap. Now take a picture, let it kind of stew in the brain, take a picture with your cell phone and see if you need to add anything. So I'm gonna go in maybe a little heavier with my white, give a couple little, I feel like it's not blending very well. Okay, so go back and do a little bit at a time. Right now is the time to not rush in life. It's time to take a deep breath, do all the things that we've wanted to do. Now say up here you have a little bit of waves kind of rolling on in. Just go ahead and give a couple of taps. Little waves just hitting up on that shoreline. And you can always go back over your trees. So say your trees aren't making it for you, it's not making you happy. I'm going to show you how. Now this is just one of the ugly brushes. You can go in with whatever color. If you need to dull it down or to brighten up, just give a little tap out. Kind of soothes it on out. So see how it kind of blended it a little bit, so it's not quite as abrupt. So say your tree is looking like this is smaller and it's looking like it's far off in the distance. Or if this is bigger, it's going to look like it's closer to you. Whatever way you feel happy with your painting. So just imagine it's warmth, it's summer, the loons are calling to each other off in the distance. Just bring yourself to the place you want to be. Okay, so this right here, I am down to having like 2 of these brushes. I used to have a lot of these brushes. Now you could use anything that looks ugly. So see, this is not, this is a blender brush. This is not looking very pretty. This is what I make stars and snow. And how you're gonna do that, you're gonna need clean water. So I'm gonna grab some clean water and you're gonna need some clean white. So clean water, clean white. Okay, so I'm going to get this nice and wet with my clean water. I want to find the clean area of white. Now, most of the time, your palette, if you want to try to save your paints for a while, if you just take your palette and after you're done, take a piece of saran wrap and wrap it and then wrap it again. Most of the time, most of your paint will stay, especially if you keep it on a regular plate. There's no ability for moisture to kind of be lost. So if you're trying to conserve, do this on a separate plate or on a paper towel. And I'm just going to go ahead and tap it off. I don't want a whole lot of excess, because the bigger your stars can get pretty big. And then all I'm going to do, if you've ever been to my parties, this is called the Star Station. I'm going to lay it flat, and you could do this. Now, one of my favorite ways of doing it is to hold this with my left, tap with my finger, right up on the top. Just going to go ahead and give a little tap. Now, any place that it falls that you're like, it's now in my trees or it's now over my moon. All I'm going to do is take a clean finger and rub it on in. Because we don't want snow. This is not a time for snow, even though tomorrow is probably going to be some snow. Now, if you want to, like my moon feels like it's maybe just blended off a little too much, and I need to go a little bit brighter in my moon. Clean, white, and I can go right on over. And just brighten up my moon. All right, guys, so that pretty much takes care of our painting for today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got some relaxation. I hope you got some art therapy. So stay safe, stay inside, and or stay at home, I should say. Go outside if you would like. And we'll be painting on Tuesday and Thursday. I'll be uploading. It won't be live anymore, just in case we have problems with internet issues or my husband coming home and coming in, dogs barking or playing or whatever. So we'll keep it nice and like sane. I will try to upload in the morning. So it will be taped the day before and it'll be uploaded in the morning. If you have just regular palette colors, also, I was thinking about this because what usually happens is that during Christmas time, a lot of times people will get those really cheap, inexpensive kits from like Michael's and your craft places. If you've got any of these are awesome. The kids ones even feel a little bit, they're not metal, they're a little bit flimsier. They work. You can always use paper, use what you've got. Don't think you've got to spend a lot of money. And hopefully we'll see you next time, and enjoy your Sunday and the rest of your day, whatever day it is that you're watching, and have a great day.